Hey there! Today we'd like to talk to you about our solution to housing insecurity.
Now you may be asking yourself, what is housing insecurity? Is it homelessness?
Not exactly. Let us break it down for you.
Housing insecurity is the state of not having access to stable or adequate living conditions, especially due to risk of eviction or unsafe or uncomfortable living conditions.
It is estimated that 1.6 billion, or one-fifth of the global population, lack access to adequate housing and basic services.
Housing insecurity in Canada isn't as severe as other countries worldwide, but it's still a very pressing issue.
So how exactly does housing insecurity affect Canada? Well, here are a few statistics to put into perspective the impact it has.
As of 2016, at least 235,000 Canadians experience homelessness annually.
The Canadian government allocates approximately $7 billion annually to mitigate housing insecurity.
In 2022, 14.5% of households were dissatisfied with their cost of housing.
In 1970, the average housing down payment on a standard salary took 5 years to save for. Now it takes 17 years.
Now, there have been homeless shelters put into place to allow for the homeless population to have a place to live. However, the government still faces problems with the social issue. Additionally, the COVID-19 pandemic only made housing insecurity in Canada even worse, with people losing their jobs and the state of the economy being in decline. This seriously amplified the need for a solution. Government initiatives and non-profit organizations are already working to address these concerns. However, the growing demand for affordable housing continues to make housing insecurity in Canada a persistent issue.
So what are the root causes to housing insecurity? Well, using our causal model and iceberg activities, we were able to observe that financial challenges are one of the leading causes to housing insecurity. We used these tools to build ideas on what we thought were the root causes, and then built on those ideas and found their causes. We then used the 6 thinking hats technique to brainstorm a solution. The 6 thinking hats technique allows for each member to play a role and be creative in their own ways. Our final solution we came up with was the community card.
Our solution, the community card, is a monthly funding card dedicated to those who struggle with housing insecurity and homelessness.
The card assigned to each individual would have a monthly balance of $1,000 and would be monitored and have restrictions in order to prevent use.
We're partnering with banks to produce these cards on a large scale. These cards will be incompatible with ATMs, e-transfers, Apple Pay, or other such services that allow for the cash exchange or transfer of currency.
We aim to transition this vulnerable population from housing insecurity by helping them get back up on their feet until they have another reliable source of income.
Anyone facing housing insecurity or homelessness can apply for a community card.
If approved, they will be provided with a card until they find employment or are able to financially support themselves.
In order to be applicable for a community card, one must align with these criteria.
You must be over the age of 18 and under the age of 65. There are already programs out there for people who are under 18 and over 65, like 211 Ontario and the Neighborhood Group.
You need to be making under the minimum wage of your province to apply for this card, unless under serious circumstances such as risk of eviction.
You cannot spend over $200 at a time to avoid irresponsible payments. But how does it work on a more global scale? Well, let's take a look at New Zealand's housing issues, for example. Out of all of the more developed countries, New Zealand is one of the worst for homelessness. New Zealand's definition of homelessness is much broader and is defined as anyone who is without shelter or in temporary accommodation and living as a resident in a severely overcrowded private dwelling. Applications for public housing in New Zealand increased from 47% from 2019 to 2020.
The community card could be viable because it will help people get out of homelessness using this extra funding. This will also benefit us because once they can financially support themselves, they will no longer meet the criteria of the card, which will allow the money that they no longer need to be spent somewhere else. The card will also be feasible because all anyone would need to do to apply is meet the criteria and then go into a government building to obtain the card.
This solution will require $423 million from the Canadian government annually.
However, this is only a fraction of the funding the government dedicates to housing insecurity annually.
This makes our solution a big step towards diminishing housing insecurity in Canada, for only a fraction of the funding.
In conclusion, the community card would not only help mitigate housing insecurity and homelessness rates in Canada, but it would also be feasible in other countries and could potentially even be a great solution to this social issue on even a global scale.
Thank you all for listening.
And this is the community card.
Okay, close the.
Look guys, this is community card. Community card.
The Canadian government
If their application is approved, they will be provided with the card until they are able to financially support themselves.